Hello there. Welcome to Breakfast All Day. Good to see you guys. I am Christy. That is Matt. That is Alonzo. Our first review for you today is an HBO Max film called Locked Down. If you are locked down, you can watch it from the comfort of your home. Alonzo, what's it about?
So it's set during the pandemic, early enough in the pandemic that people were still going out and clanking at 8 o'clock at night, which we've all stopped doing, I guess. But Chiwetel Ejiofor and Anne Hathaway play a couple living in London. They are kind of on the outs, and frankly, if it weren't for the lockdown, they probably wouldn't still be sharing the same townhouse, but they do. And she works for a horrible international marketing company. We see her having to fire a bunch of people, but discovers that their big display at Harrods, which includes a super valuable diamond, is going to have to be sent off to storage, and she's going to be in charge of that. And wouldn't you know it, Ejiofor's character is going to be the truck driver taking that shipment, and they realize, what if we stole this really valuable diamond and started our lives over again? So it's written by Stephen Knight, who did Locke, which is also a film about, people in a very limited space. He also did Serenity, but let's not.
I was going to say, let's talk about what else Stephen Knight did.
Yeah, I know.
He wrote and directed Serenity.
Yeah, when he is good, he is very, very good, and when he is bad, he is awful.
I recall us enjoying Serenity on some level, though.
On some level, sure. And it's directed by Doug Liman, and I think this movie is great, and I can tell already that I love it more than most people. So take me with a grain of salt, if you will. But I think, if you're approaching this movie as, it's a heist film, it's not really a heist film in that it all sort of falls into place with relative ease and very little planning. It's really, I think, more using the heist as a metaphor to explore that the pandemic is kind of forcing all of us in one way or other to sort of figure out what our lives are going to be when this thing is over. And obviously, if you've had to deal with, loss and sickness and death, and that's a whole other level of life change and having to cope with that stuff. But I'd say for everybody, whether it's, do I really need to go into an office or do I really need to continue doing this job that I hate that serves no real purpose in the world? Like, I think that we're all going to come out of this with a different perspective about stuff. And this movie is sort of taking an early look at what that process is going to be looking like by giving us these two characters who don't like where they are, who are either by no fault of their own or by fault of their own are in a place that they don't like, and trying to figure out what they're going to do next. I think it all comes together really well. I love the two of them as a couple, both a contentious couple and one that are sort of like rediscovering what they ever liked about each other in the first place. There's some fun, short, brief appearances by people like Ben Kingsley and Ben Stiller and Stephen Merchant. Because if you're a podcaster, you know that the lockdown has meant the golden age of getting bigger name guests than you normally could have. So I don't know. I really dug this movie.
Matt, you liked it better than I did too.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. This covers, I think, similar territory for Lyman that Mr. and Mrs. Smith does, in that it's a longtime couple that's grown apart. But this one I felt is obviously it's a more believable, more understandable kind of them getting back together and falling back in love with each other. I agree that the leads are terrific in this. I always have loved Chiwetel Ejiofor. I think he's very charming in this. He's very kind of... It's almost a Woody Allen type character. Like, he's way too much in his head sometimes, and just like can't stop talking about what he's thinking. And you see how off-putting that is. And you kind of want to just slap him sometimes and be like, dude, shut up. But I think he does have really good chemistry with Hathaway. I think Hathaway's terrific in this. I really liked her. There's almost a little bit of the screwball comedy in this going on. I thought this was a lot of fun. The other thing that I found really interesting about this was that this is very much a movie written and feels like, and it's horrifying that we've been in lockdown for so long. We can tell the different eras of it. This is an early lockdown feel. Like, this is an early lockdown history.
People are still making bread.
Right. Like, you're only a couple months in, and
not even, it's March. It's you can see at the storefront at
Right.
Harrods, it says March 25th on the exhibit
Right.
is when it
Right.
ends.
You're only a few weeks in, and you're not knowing what's going on, and maybe you'll get out, maybe you won't, and you're facing things. At this point now in the lockdown, we're like, all right, fine, right? it's a whole different feeling. But I really like this movie. I think it maybe takes its time a little too much kind of in the third act. But that being said, I had a great time watching this and I was laughing a lot. I thought it was really funny.
I wanted it to be, I don't know, lighter, zippier. There's something kind of shaggy and loose about it that seemed at odds with the actual content of the story. And I realize it's an unorthodox kind of heist movie. It's not an Ocean's movie, it's not Clockwork. It's not going to be a movie like Go from Doug Liman either. It's not that kind of slick. I appreciate the ingenuity at work here as far as clearly this was shot during COVID. And here and there, I really enjoyed it. I love that Ben Kingsley is essentially doing his character from Sexy Beast.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I like really thick accented East End Ben Kingsley, and the Ben Stiller character is funny as her boss. And there are moments that ring true as far as how Zoom calls go down, and
Are you drinking wine?
Right.
Yeah, but Paxton picked it.
Right. She catches them talking about her as she's logging into the call, where she's perfectly coiffed with this really chic blazer on, but she's got pajama bottoms in the bottom. I mean, there's a lot of details that ring true. And as you say, Matt, it's early, or maybe it's Alonzo, it's early going. So there's a whole thing about buying flour to make bread, and you got to wait in line outside the grocery store, which we don't have to do anymore. There's just it's all of 2 hours long. I wanted it to be kind of snappier, zippier. I wanted to really feel the crackle of that connection between them, because I do like them together. It's almost like it's playing at a slower speed the whole way throughout.
I mean, I went into it. I've gotten to the point now where if I see a movie's an hour and 56 minutes, I'm like, but it didn't, and I never felt it while I was watching it. I was totally on board with it. And I kind of like how it's sort of like if Scenes from a Marriage suddenly emerged out of, How to Steal a Million, basically, where, even once they figure out the heist, they're more interested in terms of the morality of it and what it will do for them or what it won't do for them versus the actual mechanics of, okay, we got to go down this hallway and into that elevator. I don't know. I thought it was a fun way to take this sort of global trauma, anxiety that we're all in right now, and sort of exploring it in a very specific way that didn't feel too coddled or precious or, it wasn't just rich white people problems, because she has this executive position, but he's somebody who has to work as a truck driver because he got into a fight once and, went to jail for it. And so now he's a felon. And so he can't get the kind of jobs that clearly he is capable of doing because he's really smart and really, could do more with his life and can't. And so, I don't know, all of that stuff for me came together really well.
Yeah. I also like that it does kind of the lockdown, the fact that they're stuck together allows for this interesting analysis that they do of their relationship that you otherwise kind of wouldn't get. Yeah. And I think that
she would leave and that would be that,
right. And that all worked for me. I really enjoyed this. It is a little slapdash in places, but for the most part, I kind of like that. I had read that Liman and the crew shot this in 18 days because that's how long they took to shoot Swingers. And that worked for me. Again, in a couple places, it slows down a little bit, once they're actually going to Harrods. But everything else, I really had a good time watching this. I thought it was funny, and I liked it.
I kind of enjoyed the Harrods stuff the most of all. I kind of enjoyed that back third of it the most of all, where they all in the various hallways and elevators. I love the whole scene at the market at Harrods. That's a really detailed and rich conversation, right. And I enjoyed that.
When she tells you he has to dream bigger.
Yeah, and I there are moments, I never felt the sense of tension of the claustrophobia of being stuck together. They have enough space and they have multiple levels he goes out or she goes out. And I never felt that intensity of being stuck with somebody that you don't want to be with anymore. It felt like they were just sort of coexisting unhappily, but not in a way that made it particularly exciting or cinematic.
I hear you. I hear you. I felt like, but what I got from them was inertia, was like they're just there and like bored. It's not so much. I didn't feel like they were. I didn't get that they felt trapped so much as like
figuratively, if not literally.
Right. Not so much the walls were closing in. It's just more like this malaise that certainly hits Ejiofor, but her too, right? And it's just like, you know, and you see as it goes on, like she cares less and less about the calls. Like the first one, you know, she's trying to be professional, and then by the end, like she's drinking and she doesn't give a shit. And yeah.
And I love the line when he sees the guy leaving the store with like 6 big packs of toilet paper. How many asses do you have?
And he goes, fuck you.
Right.
There are so many, details of like early pandemic that were a little triggering. Like, oh, yeah, toilet paper
The kid
holder.
behind Ben Stiller in Vermont.
Yes.
Son. That's actually, I think that's actually his son, maybe.
It would make sense. I mean, they're not going to make another actor quarone just to do that,
Yes.
you know.
So
I'd
there are
watch
some
another movie
amusing
about this couple.
details
Yeah,
here and there.
yeah, for sure. Like,
I'm saying 6.2. It's on HBO Max if you want to watch it.
I said 9, but look, I also watched every episode of Connecting, so clearly, like COVID, you know, narratives when they're not fucking Songbird, you know, like speak to me somehow. So,
What did I say? 8.5?
You
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, I'd say 8.5 because I would absolutely watch a sequel to this couple still locked down 6 months later.
sure, in a heartbeat.
Okay. Our number is 7.9.
So yeah, it's on HBO Max. Go check it out. And thanks for watching. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And please check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. Starting off this week with our recaps of WandaVision season 1, as well as our continuing discussion of Bridgerton. And we're taking votes right now from our subscribers over which classic we'll be reviewing in January. So get in on that action at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Bye.